Hello, everyone. It's Phil Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. Today is May 29th, 2022, and our topic today is gun rights in a federal republic. The United States of America was established as a constitutional federal republic because the founders wanted to limit the powers of the central government to agreed upon benevolent activities that encroach minimally upon the sovereignty of the people of the states. The most notable example was to provide for a united national defense against outsiders. They recognized that government leaders from the time of the pharos on forward tend to accumulate as much power as possible because the tendency is endemic to human nature. Unlike the other governments of the time, America made her people the sovereigns instead of a king or a queen. The concept was new in 1789, but our Constitution has served as a model for the republics that have spread widely across the globe over the ensuing 200 plus years. The founders adopted the Second Amendment, authorizing the states to form militias and guaranteeing citizens a right to bear arms for two reasons. First, it enabled the states to militarily resist attempts by the central government to illegally assume too much power. Second, it enabled the states to enforce their own laws within their borders. The purpose is plain from the very words of the brief amendment. Quote, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, close quote. The, quote, security of a free state phrase underscores the amendment's intent to resist illegal infringement of states' rights by the central government. While Democrats would have us believe that only Southerners made such an interpretation, history proves otherwise. Consider the War of 1812. Many New Englanders opposed it. Their region was a maritime center that profited greatly by trading with the British enemy, while the rest of the country was fighting King George III. Massachusetts even refused to put her militia into the national service, as ordered by President James Madison. They eagerly raked in the trading profits while Americans elsewhere fought and died. When Britain finally blockaded New England after 2 years of war, the region organized a convention in Hartford to demand more regional privileges in the Constitution, backed by an implied threat of secession. New England today might be stained with the legacy of secession had not the war ended the month after the Hartford meeting. The region was blockaded for only the final 7 months of a 30-month war. In the rush by the academy, the colleges, to demonize Southerners, colleges generally teach that the Civil War was, quote, all about, close quote, slavery. While most of the first 7 of the 11 ultimate Confederate states seceded to protect slavery, the northern states chose to prevent them from leaving the Union peaceably, thereby showing that the Yankees did not truly want to be rid of slavery. If they wanted to be rid of slavery, they could have let the first 7 cotton states just leave, but they didn't do that. Now, let's not forget also that both President Davis and Robert E. Lee prioritized Confederate independence over slavery by offering freedom to Black volunteers in 1865. The Southern states were also rejecting increasing federal intrusion on states' rights. Examples remedied in the Confederate Constitution were regionally discriminatory tariff taxation, federal instead of state funding of public works projects, and federal instead of state subsidies for private industry. All were outlawed in the Confederacy and in the Confederacy Constitution. Although authorized to do so, the Confederacy never formed a Supreme Court because her people believed such a court would tend to strengthen the central government powers. To the extent that the Confederacy was a movement to resist the inexorable growth of our federal government, her people were correct. Today, the power assumed by the federal government has grown far beyond what even the northern states of the Civil War ever expected. Consequently, our leaders in Washington are out of touch with the sovereign people at home. That's why they dismiss $6 a gallon gasoline as a price America must pay to transition to some dubious green economy. While such a transition is inconsequential to their wallets, it threatens countless ordinary Americans with bankruptcy. Similarly, they can pass a $40 billion aid for Ukraine without consequence. Biden and my senators, my Congress lady, there's no consequence for them for voting that, but there will be to me and to you when we get hit with the tax bill. They don't care about that. Given their power to tax us and pay themselves and their allies in the deep state enough money to avoid the consequences of their decisions, they shall always be out of touch with the ordinary Americans. The Second Amendment is the last safety valve against a ruling oligarchy of cultural elites. Consider the consequences in Australia after they outlawed so-called assault weapons. While mass shootings dropped, the country's central government became totalitarian during the COVID lockdowns. They brutalized their own citizens, including the elderly. They physically brutalized them by forcing them to obey questionable quarantine regulations. That is America's future without the Second Amendment. Both political parties realize that once the federal government has a monopoly on violence and the sovereign citizens have no way to resist, there will be no limit to government power. Each Confederate statue that is removed is another step toward an authoritarian federal government led by people who preach absurdities, such as there being no difference between men and women, and people who appoint a new member to the Supreme Court, a new justice to the Supreme Court, who tells us in testimony before Congress that she cannot define the word woman. She does not know the meaning of the word woman. This is madness. Yet this is the central government that can become totalitarian. Now, to get more about this background, consider Causes of the Civil War by Philip Lee, Leigh. You can get an autographed copy directly from me by emailing me, Phil, PHIL_Lee, LEIGH @me.com. That'd be $26. If you want just a regular copy from Amazon's or Barnes & Noble, it's $22 and you order it there. Okay, that is our show for today, and thank you for watching. I'll be talking to you next time.